What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bear Truth. This is our inaugural episode, and on tonight's show, we are talking about what's your value. Just so everybody knows, the premise of the show is we are going to come out and talk about a hot topic in Bears land, and we're going to kind of talk about some of the facts, and there'll be some opinion-based stuff from me too. So let's go ahead and get started tonight's episode. Obviously, what's the value? And we are going to be talking about Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith had a very, very public contract dispute, I'll say, out in the open, made some statements. There were some things made. Obviously, we know he's back in camp now. He's going to play out this last year of his deal, and as he said, he's going to bet on himself. But I kind of want to dig into this a little bit. And when I read his original statement, I kind of glossed over this quote the first time I read through it. And then when I went back and read through it again, something really stuck out to me. And it was this quote here. It was, "Unfortunately, the new front office regime just doesn't value me here." And I found this very, very interesting because value is one of those things that everybody's going to look at different, right? So what we value in a player may be something different than what another Bears fan values in a player, or what the Chicago Bears value in Roquan Smith or see his value as is probably going to be a lot different than Roquan Smith sees his value as. So you're always going to have this gap, and anytime you have contract negotiations, you're just hoping that you can kind of bridge that gap and everybody meets at a happy medium. So I want to kind of talk about the good and the bad with Roquan Smith. When we talk about the pluses, you're talking about 524 career tackles. That's through 4 seasons, obviously. 14 career sacks, and he has made 2 All-Pro teams. Now, granted, those were second teams, but we can have this debate on whether or not they should have been first teams. That's a whole different show. When we talk about some of the minuses, or at least some of the minuses that I see, 1 forced fumble in 4 seasons, and he's only had 1 season where he's had more than 1 interception. And that particular season, he had 2. So he's got 5 career interceptions through 4 years. In a Matt Eberflus defense that really focuses on takeaways, I'm sure that the coaching staff, the front office, has looked at this and obviously see this as a huge area of opportunity for Roquan Smith. The other thing that I threw in here is the off-season noise. And when I say off-season noise, what I'm referring to is it seems like every summer we're having a story about Roquan Smith. Now, granted, none of these have come to criminal charges or even been proven to be real. But there's always a story. And, you know, I know me as a Bears fan, I'm kind of tired of hearing it. And it's starting to get to the point where there's smoke, there's fire. So when we're starting to talk about, you know, Roquan Smith and his contract demands and things that he wants, and, you know, it's been widely reported he wants to be the highest paid off-ball linebacker in football, you got to go and kind of look at the other guys that are up there. So I did a little bit of a comparison here. We have Shaquille Leonard, who's obviously the number 1 paid off-ball linebacker in the NFL. We have Fred Warner, who's at number 2, and then we have Roquan Smith. So kind of just run through these things. Shaquille Leonard, 538 career tackles, 11 interceptions, 17 forced fumbles, 15 sacks. Fred Warner, 504, 3 interceptions, 6 forced fumbles, 4.5 sacks. And Roquan Smith at 524 tackles, 5 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, and 14 sacks. Now, the thing that really stuck out for me, again, was just the takeaway aspect of it. You know, you're talking about a total of 6 takeaways for Roquan Smith. Fred Warner has 6 of those just in forced fumbles alone, and Shaquille Leonard is absolutely blowing him away in all those categories. So, you know, when we start to talk about value and contract value specifically, obviously the next guy up is usually going to get a little bit more than the top guy if you're in the top 3 to 5, right? That's just the way it works in the NFL. But let's take a look at some of these contracts here, at least these 3. Shaquille Leonard, we are looking at $98.5 million overall, about $19.7 million a year. And that's a backloaded deal. And I'm going to get back to that in a second. Fred Warner, 95.2 million, about 19, little shade over 19 million a year. And that was a front loaded deal. So a lot of his money was in the front. Now, the reason that I wanted to bring up the backloaded and front loaded and things like that, well, it's pretty simple. There's a lot of talk that Roquan Smith was unhappy with the way the contract was structured and that it was backloaded, and he wasn't happy with that. He wanted more money up front, guaranteed money. That's what Bears fandom is saying. First of all, you can have a backloaded deal and still have guaranteed money on that. Okay, so I don't want to mix up the two. Backloaded does not necessarily mean no guaranteed money. You can guarantee money. It's just on the back end of the deal. What's interesting about this is that when Ryan Poles put this deal out, if it was indeed backloaded, it was basically a copycat of Shaquille Leonard's deal. It wasn't unheard of. It wasn't unprecedented. This is what the highest paid off-ball linebacker in the NFL, this is the way his deal was structured. So it's, there seems to be a lot of misconception that, the Bears were trying to screw Roquan over. Well, I don't really view it that way. I think that they were protecting their assets, protecting their money a little bit. And we'll kind of talk about that in a second. So the next thing when we move on here a little bit, the big question is, and we asked this on Bear Down Breakdown last night, will Roquan still be a Bear in 2023? We know he's playing out the last year of his deal now. What are we going to do moving forward? So when I try to answer this question, there's really only three options that are available. And the first one is a new contract, right? Now, that is assuming that the relationship between Roquan and the Bears has not broken to the point of non-repair, meaning Roquan Smith is not looking at Chicago and just saying, you know what, I'm not going to play here again. I don't care how much money they offer me. I don't care what the guarantees are. From the Bears' perspective, the Bears are hoping that through a position change and through a scheme change, that the numbers stay at an elite level. And we don't know that yet. I mean, that's just a fact. As of right now, we don't know that there is not going to be a drop-off. The next thing we could do is the franchise or transition tag. Franchise tag right now is estimated to be at about 18.5 million. So you're talking a pretty big, substantial cap savings by franchise tagging him for a year. You figure he wants 20, 21, 22, wherever that is. If you can bring him in at 18, that saves us a little bit of cap. The transition tag is interesting, and I want to give a shout out to Adam Wolf for coming up with this idea and this thought, because I never really thought about it until he said it. Transition tag, basically, you are letting the other GMs in the league dictate Roquan's value. Now, if we deem that value too high, we will have a draft pick set on him, and they will have to pay us that draft pick in order to sign him. So it's probably, in my opinion, the best option to go. We'll see how it goes. And that's if we don't get a contract signed. The third option, which is the option nobody wants, is to just let him walk in free agency. We don't win in that deal. Basically, we are on a 1-year rental with him this year, and we lose him next year for absolutely nothing. I don't really think that that's the way we want to go. So I think that that's the less likely of the three deals. So what are the bare facts when it comes to Roquan Smith? What are the things that we know about this? Well, number one, I want to say this, and I've said this for years, and all the fellas at the Bear Down Breakdown will tell you I've said this multiple times. We as fans, especially Bears fans, tend to overvalue our players because we're emotionally attached to them. We overvalue them as far as contract value, and we also overvalue them in trade value. So, to the guy saying just pay him what he wants, pay him $26 million a year, he's worth that. Well, no, because that's not what the market dictates, and that would be bad cap management by Ryan Poles. Trade value, that's always an interesting one to me, because I feel like we way overvalue what our return would be on some of these players. Roquan Smith is not netting multiple high-round picks. Roquan Smith is probably not netting a first-round pick, period, unless it is a very, very late first-round pick. When you start to look across the league, the trade value, there are only 4 teams, to my knowledge right now, that could even absorb a $20 million cap hit on Roquan Smith. So, again, I don't think we're trading. We're not trading him. Obviously, he's going to play out his last year, but I just wanted to throw that in there, that we really need to start thinking about what these players' values actually are. The de-escalators that were supposedly in the contract, the de-escalators, number one, we don't know what they are. We don't know if they were performance-based. We don't know if they were off-the-field based. We don't know. But the de-escalators are actually kind of smart, and it's because it protects the team in case of statistical drop-off. Meaning, when he switches schemes, when he switches positions, if the statistics, the level of performance is still not there, or not there at all, or it drops way off, we are protecting ourselves by saying, hey, look, you didn't meet up to this contract, and it de-escalates a little bit. Now, again, that's a very, very tricky thing because we don't know what the de-escalation clauses were. So I don't want to say too much of that. The one thing that I took away as a positive from this is that Ryan Poles stuck to what he said, which is we are going to do what is best for the Chicago Bears. That is what he promised us. And in my opinion, we need to see where Roquan Smith finishes this year before we set a true value on him in a new system, in a new coaching staff, or with a new coaching staff, in a new position, and with a new front office. So to me, this was smart by the front office of the Chicago Bears to say, hey, look, show us what you got, show us, and we'll give you your money. So before I go tonight, I want to thank everybody for watching. Obviously, subscribe to our channel here. Give us a like on this video. And I also want to thank my Bear Down Breakdown crew brethren, Adam Wolf, Jason Mallardino, Marlon Williams, Lester Price, John McNabb, Gilberto De La Garza, Brennan McElrath, and Paris Hall. And we have so many more guys. There's so many guys that run with us here. We'd love to have you all on the show. So where can you see the Bear Down Breakdown crew? Well, I'll go ahead and tell you guys that too. To get all your Bears related content from us, you can hit us on Facebook at Bear Down 24/7. Go ahead and give that page a like. The Bear Down Breakdown will be on Wednesday nights, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is on the Bear Down 24/7 page, multiple pages across Facebook, and also on this YouTube channel. It will be live on Wednesday nights. The other thing is you are going to get some YouTube exclusives only. The only place you will be able to see them is on YouTube. And that is this show. We have another show upcoming called Go Pack and Leave, or Unpack and Stay with Lester Price. And there's so many more. The guys are working real hard to get some shows together. So thank you, everybody. Again, subscribe, give us a like, throw us a comment, hit us on Facebook, Bear Down 24/7. And we will see you all on the next episode of The Bear Truth. Thanks, everybody.